It's the latter part of May 2022, and I'm making a video showing how I get my recessed lights to stay where I want them, to stay in a nice line, to keep my spacing. I measured out my spacing before, and I wasn't really sure when I go to put the lights in my sheetrock how that was going to work. And you see here, see how did I get the light in the arch right there? I'm going to show you that. And then I have lights right here. Let's go take a look at how I get my recessed lights to stay where I want them and not have any errors when I go to sheetrock my house. I have these recessed lights all up in my soffit too. Now it was easy in the soffit with just a little ultra slim 4-inch canless can lights with the little transformer. See, it's easy in the soffit because all you do is you get up there and you drill a hole, and that's where your light goes. You just run your wire to it. No big thing, really easy. But what happens if you don't have a solid ceiling to light in? How do you keep your spacing? Do you snap it out on the floor and then level up, stub a wire out? I didn't feel comfortable doing it that way. So this is the way I did it. You see these little things right here that I made? The little homemade mounting plates. You could buy these in metal, but they're like 10 bucks a piece, and I have hundreds of lights. Well, maybe not hundreds, okay, but close to 100 lights in my house. So that would have been a big chunk of money. Now, being that I mostly do carpentry, I have this saw. You'll need a miter saw. I got my table saw with my little hand saver guide right here. So I still have all my fingers because I use the hand saver guide all the time. Okay, now let's go upstairs and I'll tell you how I make these. Okay, you see how I have my lights in my arches? How else would I get a light in my arch if I was just trying to do it like normal? See, I just take my, in this case on my arch blocks, I just put those, I cut a hole in, not a hole, but with my router, I cut a space in with my router, and then I just cut little relief cuts in here and wrap it around there. You see my little transformer in there? You just leave these loose. Then when you put your wire in, that way when you go to, if you ever need to get to your light, you just pull it out and you can work on your light and just shove it back in. Now most of these I have up in the attic. You see the little transformer up there, the little black one? That's screwed on right now, but before I sheetrock it, I'm taking those screws out because if I ever need to get my light down, it's coming through that hole. I don't want to go up in the attic to mess with these lights. So why I like these homemade brackets is because, look, let me get up here and I'll show you closer what I'm doing. See how I made the little, this is just an 8-inch by 8-inch, just piece of thinnest plywood I can find. Then I drilled the appropriate size hole. That was, I don't remember what hole it was, like 3 1/8 or something. Don't quote me on that. Read your instruction manual on your lights, find out what size hole you need, and cut those with your hole saw. Stack them up so you can cut 2 or 3 holes at the same time with your hole saw. Clamp them together. And then this other, it's just, that's nothing but a 2x4 ripped down. Now, when you put these in, you're going to want this surface flush with here. So sometimes you're going to have to cut into your trusses. You're not supposed to do that, but it's only a 1/4 inch. I don't care. I'm doing it anyway because my light spacing is more important to me. And this has already been inspected by the building inspector. Nobody's going to come back and say anything about that little 1/4 inch cut in. So the nice thing about doing these is you see my line right there, my chalk line? What I did is I snapped a chalk line and then I put my center cut on that chalk line, and the other way I just figure out if it's right there, that's where it's going. If it needs to be spaced a little bit more, then I can space it. And you'll figure out what your spacing needs to be when you do this. You just put it up here and move it and get it centered. Move it and put that center point right on the line, right on the intersection. That's why I cut the little marker cuts in there. Because if you can see right here, this light right here, I want it to line up with that one. So I've already taken the measurements off the wall. Now I just have to transfer them into my trusses, and I can put these wherever I want to. Now if you don't have, now how do I put these in? I have my little Bostitch ground stapler, and I just slap a couple staples in the side. It's not a very good strong, you want to be up there walking on them because you're going to fall through. So don't be that stupid to walk on these. These are only to hold a place in the sheetrock for your light. Okay, that's all all you're doing is holding a place in the sheetrock. Then when you put your sheetrock over it, you get your little trim bit, you shove it up in there, the one with the what is it called, the recessed bit. It's a trim bit. It's the same bit where you go around your windows. You know what I'm talking about? If you don't know what I'm talking about, then don't do this. But that bit in your little rotary tool is going to cut that perfect circle, and then you don't have to get a special hole saw because you've already cut this in the hole saw. Okay? Now, don't be afraid on something like this. You might be thinking, oh no, the truss is in the way. It's not in the way because the little arms, you could turn it either way and it's going to clamp onto that. They're supposed to go in 1/2 inch sheetrock, so 1/2 inch plus 1/4, that's 3/4. Don't worry, the little ear brackets, they're still going to hold down on this, and it's going to hold it just fine. In fact, it's going to be stronger like this because now, wherever you've made a hole in your ceiling with your sheetrock, you can put sheetrock screws around there. If you're doing it the other way, without my little wood things, wherever you cut a hole, it's going to be weaker right there. So this is actually going to strengthen up your sheetrock. Not that you really need to, because those little lights weigh almost nothing, but I just feel more confident doing it this way. You see how I've done all these? Just the same thing I'm talking about. Right on the line, all the way down. You can just space them out. You don't got to worry about your lines on the floor getting erased or lost. You know right where they are. And so these, see how I cut the little recess in there? That was a waste of time. It's pretty and everything, and it's probably the best way to do it, but it just takes so much time. Do it like I showed you when I was up on the ladder. Just remember, whenever you go to nail these in, I'll show you over here. When you nail these arms in, that thickness is this. That's what it is, because when I finish, I want bottom of truss and this surface to be the same so my sheetrock goes on properly. So, hope that helps you out. If you're building a house and you don't quite know how to put the lights in, do it like I did. You'll be happy with this method.